I would like you to comment on this. How do we ensure the feasibility of, we can implement all these things in the next 2 years as suggested by Dr. Abdulhamid. Dr. Abdulhamid is a lecturer in mathematics education in the University in South Africa. He's saying that all these things, we have to, let's outline the stages of implementation. Can you take us through that? What are the stages we have to take to implement all these suggestions in changing our teacher education program?
Well, thank you very much, moderator. Let me say first that, look, you have done an excellent job. And like I suggested earlier on, it's good that we get a compendium of all these webinars. If we get the compendium, it's not going directly to one institution. It's going to various institutions. There are some that we go to the states. There are some that we go to the federal. You know, there are some that we go to agencies, federal government agencies. For example, some we go to TRCN, to NTI, to NUC, NCCE, and also our institutions, our teacher preparation institutions. So my belief is that, look, we can tackle this thing. We can use a multi-pronged approach. Okay, we can use a multi-pronged approach to tackle this thing. Okay, we are not going to limit ourselves and wait until everything can be put in place before we are able to solve the problem. What we are going to do is to use a multi-pronged approach. Let's get all the recommendations. I believe very strongly that when we get all these recommendations, agencies are going to work quickly to make sure that we tackle those ones that are relevant to us. In fact, presently, some of us are already thinking of those things, especially the issue of digital literacy training. We are thinking already of how to scale it up for our teachers. And so many other emerging issues that are coming out from this COVID-19 experience. We are already thinking of how we can scale it, we can attend to them. So by the time we get the resolutions or the recommendations from some of these webinars, they will actually help us in planning. And I believe very strongly that using multi-pronged approach, we are going to get there. Let us know those ones that we go to the various suburbs. All the state governments will be able to tackle. Okay? Let us know the ones that will be able to go to the post-primary education boards. Let us know the one that will be able to go to teacher preparation institutions, teacher education institutions, colleges of education, faculties of education, so that they will quickly look at it and adjust their programs. Okay? Using a multi-pronged approach, I believe we can get there very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So, Mrs. or Dr. Angelina Duru she is raising her hand. I want her to speak now. Ms. Angelina Duru, rather.
Okay.
Oh, doctor, sorry.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Please introduce yourself, ma'am.
Mrs. Yahweh. I'm Mrs. Angelina Duru.
Okay.
I'm one of the participants. I've been following along. What my fear is, all these things we are deliberating on, how soon are we going to get help by the management, by the government, so that all this implementation can be a reality? Because after all this, there is no implementation, there is no aids, we will still be hovering around. So how soon are we going to get this up, and how reality it is to be achieved? Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Man. And for the next person, Gioni guest. I don't know the name. The name is not displaying here. I would like you to comment, sir, or ma. Gioni plus, Gioni S plus. Your network coverage is bad over there, sir. Please just have to turn off your camera so that we'll be able to receive the audio better. The network at your end is bad, sir, as I said. We'll come back to him later. So it appears that the network is still a problem over there. We can't hear him at all. So then Mrs. Lovett Adewoye.
Yes, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, ma.
Yes, can you hear me?
Proceed, ma.
Yeah. Yes, to me, I think the outbreak of COVID-19 has actually is an eye-opener for us to see a lot of educational deficiency in Nigeria. If we have been advocating for 21st century education in all over the world, and Nigeria as a country with all the policies cannot boast of a visual learning, from all level of education at this century. I think there's a need for a total overhaul of education sector in Nigeria, starting from the curriculum, the teachers, everything that has to do with education in totality has to be checked into, and there should be another reinformation for everything to be put in place for us to be able to meet up with what is going on globally. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. So I'll go back to Professor Iliyasu from the NTI. There are a lot of questions for you, sir. Prof, sir, you can turn on your camera.
Okay, sir. You are welcome.
You're welcome, sir. So you can turn on your camera. There are a lot of
Thank you.
I don't know where you've been going through the charts, you will have seen a lot of questions for the NTI. Some people asked about the results. Their results have not been, they've not seen their results since 2017. And we're from our end at EduCeleb, we've been in contact with the DG and some other officials, including the Director of Examination on that. So I would like you to give us the latest information on that.
Many people might think that, okay, many people might think that is NTI that is delaying them now. But no, because we have changed our pattern of affiliation. Before, the entire PGD program actually was affiliated to only one university in the country. But nowadays, we have actually affiliated the programs into 6 geopolitical zones universities. Like actually, we have Akoka, University of Akoka, for those that are in the southeast, and also in the south-south, we have south-south University of Port Harcourt, and northeast, we have University of Maiduguri, and northwest, we have Usman Dan Fodio University, and north central, we have Ilorin, University of Ilorin. And also for the southwest, we affiliated the program with University of Ibadan. Therefore, we have to follow all the criteria, and we have collected a lot of our certificates from now. Thousands of them are now ready, and they are in our centers. So each and every student should try to go and check. It's only when he cannot find his results now, he can now raise a complaint. But we have changed the pattern, and our BA Ed program, we don't have Senate. Therefore, we must affiliate the program to one of the awarding universities, like Noun. So some of the programs are there, domesticated in Noun, and also in University of Maiduguri. And therefore, we have to follow their pattern of checking and approving results before we get. These certificates are now no longer for NTI. They belong to the universities. Therefore, each and every student now will see that he is now receiving a certificate from a particular university which NTI affiliated its program with. That is why for the whole period that we joined the NTI in 2016, we have been trying to put things right and normal so that people can have that level of confidence in NTI, and also people can now go back to their studies. For example, anybody with PGDE from University of Port Harcourt, he can apply to any Nigerian university for his master's degree. That could not pose any problem. But we have the mandate to do the PGD, but all the same, the people contention about education, they think that it's only when you attend university that actually you can further your education. So we are doing good to our students, and we are helping them. And we have collected a lot of all these results. And each and every result that is not been approved, the moment it has been approved by the university, students should always connect with their state offices. We have state offices. Wherever you are studying in NTI, you must belong to one particular state office. So we have state offices all across the country. and we have 6 zonal offices. Therefore, you just go in, we have our education officers there, and there are people that will attend to you. Instead of you to raise complaint direct to the headquarters, just forward it to your state office. And also, if you cannot meet the state office, you have a center manager. Everywhere we have a study center, we have a center manager. Therefore, you just raise your complaint to him, and he will just take that for you. And it will even come to a NTI if the needs arise. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. And
Is it clear?
I can attest to
You are welcome.
some of the concerns have been addressed, as well as the fact that some have not been addressed too.
Yes.
The issue of the result that has been raised.
Yes, yes.
Has been raised by many people here. I'm aware that we have complained several times. Even as it's got to a point that Professor Azari did not even know what to say anymore. So you became speechless.
No, it is not Azari that will give you the result.
So anyway, thank you very much.
It is not Azari that will give you the result. Yeah.
We hope that very soon students will be able to see their results.
We are doing our best. Yes.
To be able to see their
results. They will see it. Yes.
Okay. Because the last time I spoke with Dr. What's his name? It wasn't at the headquarters soon. He told me that the director of examinations at the NTI. He told me what he said to them was that they finished their affiliation processes with 5 of the universities except the University of Ibadan. Later on, he said something again that I think that has been reported before in our news stories about it. So anyway, that's not about that. You've got the response to that vital question that many people have about the NTI. I noticed that the person called Jibowo, Mrs. or Dr. Adejoke Jibowo is raising her hand here. Dr. Jibowo or Mrs. Jibowo, please proceed, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moderator. Can you? I'm Professor Jibowo from OOU. I have done that introduction. Yes, no problems. I like to commend the efforts of the organizers of this so-called, something like a conference. It's worthwhile. Then 2, I also want to acknowledge and appreciate the efforts of bodies like especially TRCN in trying to moderate the activities of teaching and teacher education in Nigeria, or teacher certification in Nigeria. I'd like to say that if all of us, everyone in the stakeholders, if we give appropriate support, we can achieve, the body can achieve more. Yes, there are challenges, because sometimes ago I have been, since 2017, I've known about TRCN, and no doubt there are challenges, because I've seen some questions having to do with the certificate not being ready or something like that. Yes, but then all of these problems, almost everyone has a share in the contribution to the challenges. But my encouragement is that we Nigerians, we should, I want us to think that we should shift our attention a little bit away from just criticizing ourselves without taking actions to addressing those problems. Yes, there will be, Rome was not built in a day, we hear that. So if we all put our resources, intellectuals and everything together, including the government and government agencies, and we are focused, I'm sure Nigeria will be great at the end of COVID-19 that we are in now. I think it's a real challenge, it's a real eye-opener, like people have said. So that is, that's that. But I also want to ask, I have typed the question, but I don't know, because there are so many questions. Professor Ajiboye, especially, and all of us, is a food for thought for all of us. Don't we think it's a time, this is about a right time, we think of restructuring teacher education. There has been this idea that, you want teaching to be professional, then we should give it more adequate professionalization in terms of preparation. You want to be a medical doctor. You don't quarrel about spending 6 years. You don't challenge people, the universities or the institutions saying you should spend 6 years and then go for 1 year internship and then do this and then. But in teaching, they've been proposing, we've been hearing of possibility of changing to maybe 5 years for O-level for those coming through the UTME, and maybe 4 years for those coming with a direct entry. Because those of us in the faculties of education, hey, we know that this post-pandemic time is going to be very challenging for us to really train teachers that will be fit to because the teaching practices that we do in real sense, to me, it needs some restructuring. So I am thinking that all of us, everyone, and those that are in the government agencies, relevant government agencies, then you see TRCN, ministries, Federal Ministry of Education, curriculum people, think of, how do we, what makes it impossible for our education programs to be brought to be taken and restructured to 5 years, 4 years of solid preparation in content and all of the philosophy and psychology and all, then 1 year for in a serious training like we have in other developed world. That's my, it's something that I think this discussion should also take a look at, and then possibly, do something about after now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Adejoke of the Olabisi Olobanjo University, Agbo-Iwoye, Ogun State. So, and then we have some questions again for our representative of the DG of the NTI, and I would like him to join us back and to respond to them. But before then, I like Dr. Enobong Akporobo. Dr. Enobong Akporobo to, sorry if I know, I apologize in advance for that. Please don't help me pronounce it and go on with your comments, sir. You can you introduce yourself, sir?
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I don't know if you can hear me.
Proceed, ma. We can hear you.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm quite appreciative of this particular program because, number one, it has one way or the other enlightened me and also enabled me to align more with the present pandemic in the country and its effect in the education sector. My concern majorly is about the curriculum in which we are using to train teachers, and the curriculum in which the teachers who are training teachers are also using. This is very, very important. Very, very important. The curriculum needs to be redesigned. As far as me I'm concerned, I don't know. Then the implementers of the curriculum also. The implementers of the curriculum are we teachers. If the curriculum is redesigned, then we the implementers also need to be retrained. Because all this, for us to effectively teach these students to compete, especially in the present economy and in the present technological state in which we are now, we need to be equipped as teachers. We need to be equipped. And when we are equipped, we'll be able to, use all those things as a backup when we are teaching the students. And the students also will be aware that these tools can also be used by them when teaching. Because there's another thing is that there's a digital divide, the private and the public. Presently, what the private schools are doing, right from the nursery to the primary, the secondary, and the tertiary, cannot be compared to what is going on in the public sector. So there is a divide. How do we measure up? Apart from post-COVID, even now, how do we measure up? What can be done? These are issues. So the curriculum, I think, needs to be redesigned. The curriculum, the implementers need to be trained. Then you talk of evaluation, everything, there should be a total overhauling of the curriculum. I think when this is done, it will really put the teachers, you know, in the spotlight. Remember, no economy can rise above, you know, the level of the teachers. So we actually need to be equipped so that we'll be able to train. Number one, we need to be trained, and then the teachers need to be trained, the training, so that they will train teachers who will be able to compete in this technological world. Exactly. You know, we are in a new norm. We're in a new norm now. And so if we teachers are not trained, and then the students also are not also trained, there will be a serious problem. And it will be very, very difficult for us to, compete globally. So this is my take.
Sorry about that. I said that some people have been complaining about they've been complaining about the experience of acceptability of the NCS certificate. Like in I know of Unilag. In Unilag, if you are in Unilag, they don't accept at the Faculty of Education in the University of Lagos, which is a federal university. They don't accept NCS certificates. In some other cases too, in some schools too, I think the same thing applies there. They said that the quality of teaching in NTI is not okay, that the students are, I'm talking based on what I heard. I don't know whether it says so actually, but that's why I know of Unilag, especially of Unilag. I attended Unilag in my undergraduate studies. So they said that the certificate or the quality of knowledge that the products of the NTI have is not as sound as those that attend other institutions like that. So what do you have to say about that? And
okay, you see now.
sorry, and equally, how are you trying to address such issues of acceptability of NTI certificates?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Proceed, sir.
Okay, what many people do not understand is that, they understand, but they don't want to actually bring to reality. Most of the course materials, or all the course materials that you see in NTI, are not being produced by the staff of NTI, but they are produced by professors and senior lecturers and associate professors of Nigerian universities. And because of this lack of understanding of distance learning in the country, many people actually, they do not like to recognize distance learning. But now it is a time that now we appreciate the situation, and we now come and pay more emphasis to distance learning than conventional learning. And I'm telling you, I challenge everyone. I've been teaching university for the last 15 years, and most of the course materials or the lecture notes that we provide to students are even below that of NTI course materials. Our course materials are rich, and we engage our students, and we collaborate with even international organizations. Let me tell you now, even Commonwealth of Learning now, presently, we are collaborating with it in order to see that actually we provide resources for students to engage themselves in this period of COVID-19. And we are doing it. And not only that, the African Council on Distance Education also, we are in collaboration with them, and we are providing links and actually platforms that students can read and read. The issue is that many people don't like to have personal readings. And any student that can read those course materials and can understand them thoroughly, no one will compete with him saying that this one is not competent or is actually below the standard. I hope this is clear. And when we actually try to generate exams questions, we don't generate exams questions from NTI, but rather we now invite lecturers from universities. They come and set the questions and actually moderate the questions, and we take the same questions to universities that actually we affiliate our programs to, and they moderate. So we subject them to all the scrutiny that you are expecting in the country. That way, it is something that people actually do not probably understand, or they don't want the change. And now it is time for us to see, because everything has not been exposed due to this pandemic. Many people will realize and appreciate the efforts now institutions like NTI are putting in, and institutions like NOUN are putting in, to see that actually people get knowledge not only directly from the classroom, but also from their own convenience. That is why we have to understand this, and it needs people's orientation and reorientation so that they can now come and go along with distance learning. When you go to India, when you go to UK, when you go to America, many people actually are getting certificates that are from distance learning mode. And in Nigeria, it is only the NTI that is actually solely responsible for teacher education via distance learning. That is why many people might think that. But we are all involving every stakeholder in whatever we are doing in this country. We are not just alone. We are not fabricating things. These are things that have been subjected to moderation, have been subjected to quality, have been subjected to people's acceptability in the country. It is only our attitude and our nature. Many people will say it, because people just outside in the market, they will tell you this and that. Do you understand? And alone, we involve all the stakeholders. We have external and internal moderators, and we subject our results to approval from the board, and we invite university people. It is not the NTA that is offering all these certificates. It is the university in collaboration with the National Teachers Institute. Thank you. I hope this will actually clear some of the doubts that people are having. And when you come and take survey, you can find the performance of our students in the university compared to other students that attended conventional universities. And when you are talking about the falling standard of education, it is not only one institution or one person that you can lay actually the blame on. Yeah, it is something that we have to do something better, and we have to wake up in terms of our preparation, in terms of our teacher recruitment, in terms of our teacher retention, in terms of our teacher training and retraining and retraining. People cannot just acquire certificates within 1 year or 2 years or 3 years and say that they shouldn't go for further training. That is why NGI, beside the LMS that we have, beside the other e-resources that we have, beside the MOOC side we have, beside the collaboration we have with other international organizations like Commonwealth, like UNESCO, and we all have materials that are ready for students. It's only if a student is not ready to read, then that you cannot do anything.
All right,
thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So,
okay, my battery is low.
Before you turn off your mic again, let's have your word on this.
Okay.
How soon?
Okay.
How soon can those that did their PGD? Let me be specific about PGD. How soon can they receive their certificate? How soon?
Very soon. In fact, more than 70 or 80% of the certificates actually are ready. So it's only because of this COVID-19. The last meeting we had, the management meeting we had, there was a report on the number of certificates that were returned to NTI. So it's only for us to send these certificates to various centers and to various states so that students can go and collect their certificates.
All right. Thank you very much. Professor Ajiboye, I would just like you to give us your closing remarks with regards to our discourse today, sir.
Thank you very much. Let me say that we really appreciate the opportunity you are giving us to participate at this conference. Let me also go back to the contribution made by Professor Jibowo of Olabisi Onabanjo University. It's a fundamental issue that she has raised concerning the way we train our teachers. In so many other claims, when teachers actually finish from their various institutions, they have 1 year, post-graduation, which will just be for pedagogical training only, and is equivalent of what you call the law school. Is equivalent of what we call the housemanship. And I think he collaboratively let the deans of various colleges of education put up a position paper. Let all of us go to the National Council on Education. If the National Council on Education approve that, it's very simple. It's what the government of Nigeria implement. Okay? So let us have memos from deans of education, from the of colleges of education, that we want 1 year post-university qualification for education graduates. Okay? You know, NTI has the capacity to be able to do that with the support of with support of the universities around. They have the capacity to be able to do that. So I think it's something that we have to look at. I also want to say that the Teachers Council of Nigeria is very serious about the issue of teacher professionalism. And people who know what they've been doing, they have been following it for the past 3 years now. They see that there is tremendous change from what it used to be. Before now, we never had any examination before anybody is registered. But when we discovered that, look, you cannot just come to TRCN and you are just registered Ponto as a professional teacher, we introduced the professional qualifying examination. And I want to say that the Honorable Minister of Education, Malam Adamu, approved that request in 2017. And we had the first exam, October 2017. Since then, we have not been looking back. The exam for this year, the first one for this actually, was supposed to have been held in April. But because of this pandemic, that's why it has been postponed. We want to assure Nigerians that as gatekeepers, we will not just want anybody to be unleashed to our classroom as a professional teacher, somebody that is not competent, because teaching is a highly technical profession that not just anybody should be. Anybody. The idea of just having anybody standing in front of our children supposed to be a thing of the past. And this is why TRCN is committed to that professionalism. And we need the collaboration. Look, I always say it. I'm glad Professor Jibowo, you get other stakeholders, Professor Aladejana and all of them, and then the Provost of the Federal College of Education Technical, Akoka. All of them, these are institutions that we have been working with. Okay? I want to assure Nigerians that the idea is to make sure, look, somebody was asking the question about whether a teacher in a teacher is recognized globally. Let me tell you, if you have the TRCN certificate and license, you are recognized globally. What you need to do is to, they will request from any country we want to teach. And then we will get a letter of understanding that you are qualified to teach, qualified, and that you have been certified and a professional teacher. We will send that professional standing and guarantees you that job in that country where you are.
All right, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
So once again, let me just say thank you. We are indeed very grateful. We are indeed very grateful for providing this platform, and we believe very strongly that when we get the communique, of all the webinars we have held, it will help us greatly in moving our activities forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. So, Professor Ahmed Iliyasu.
I would like to use this. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Remarks, sir.
To us so that we can be able to clarify some issues. And what I'm telling you and other members of the panel and also our citizens is that teacher education is the most fundamental program that actually each and every serious country could work towards improving. And we should not play with it. And what our teachers need is that they need training and retraining. Not only just to produce a teacher with a certificate grade 2 or NCO or first degree, but more and more is that on the job training. And also the pre-service teachers also, they need to be taken care of very well by competent and qualified teachers and lecturers that actually they concentrate very much in producing well-groomed teachers in the country. And it is only when we have teachers that are competent enough in the country that can actually go along with the changes that we have in our life, in our sectors, in every sector of human economy and in education, then we can achieve in this country. Otherwise, because you can see the challenges. Students, pupils are there sitting in their homes without any educational engagements. And just because of our incompetency and just because of our lack of commitment towards other sources of teaching people, therefore we have to be very serious. Otherwise, other countries will go along ahead of us. Many countries in the American continent, in other continents of the world, actually are tilting their attention towards various media of education. Now, like WebEx, like other educational platforms that they are using to teach their students, even when they are at home. And we have to do that. And we have to provide the environment, and we have to provide all the resources needed. And also at the same time, we have to actually take into cognizance the welfare of those teachers that we have now on the ground, so that they can get the required training. You have to actually impose and empower the training institutions like TRCN, NTI, NUC, NCE, and we do all our best to see that actually we bring quality in teachers' education. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. And thank you to
You're welcome.
participants this evening for joining us, those that have left and those that are still here. Let's take note that later on we'll be uploading this this program. Will be uploading it on our YouTube channel, as the video that we played earlier was from our YouTube channel. So you can always stay with us after this program. But when those that are registered ahead, will get an email of a video of some of the previous editions, as well as this one, whenever it's ready for, whenever it's uploaded on the site. So we thank everyone for joining us this evening. I can't mention everyone's names, but your contributions this evening were valuable, and we hope that they will assist teacher education in Nigeria today and in the future. And it's been a learning experience for me here, and I believe it is the same for every one of you. So till some other time, I remain Abdul Salam. Good evening.